Hello, Soul family, friends, and supporters. I wanted to talk a little bit this week in our Freedom Report. I want to do it a little bit differently. I'm going to, in this new moon in Scorpio, we have, as I speak, a Sun-Moon conjoined in Scorpio. And this is all about new beginnings. And it's really about also speeding up of the process of releasing. New moons are bringing stuff in and starting new projects. And especially with a Scorpio here and it's conjoined Mars, there's a lot of energy this week into putting our best foot forward and really doing the psychological work, really doing the spiritual work, going the whole 9 yards into what we want to become, where, how do we say it, where energy flows, consciousness goes. The more we focus on something, we have a plan. And of course, it's the journey that matters, but we have an intention. We set a new intention with this Sun Moon in Scorpio. And with Mars, there's a lot of power there. And Mars is exalted in Scorpio in the ancient, meaning Mars is in a good condition at this time. Now, for those unhinged, those not doing the work, it's going to be a lot of energy going and a lot of anger. So you're going to see, you see a lot of protests, people getting very wired, very hypnotized in a way. It's in Scorpio, it's the depth. And so their psyches are being pulled sometimes towards more of an illusory fashion. I want to do it a little differently this week. I want to talk a little bit more galactically rather than just the astrology. I particularly enjoyed my mentor from afar, Alex Collier's latest brief on his Friday report. Talking about sort of galactic frequency and how I think he mentions we're sort of a whitewater raft. We're journeying down a rapid and we're bouncing around. Unfortunately, some people will be pushed out of the boat, but some of us are holding on. And we're getting our bearings back. And we are steering a new course into a new chapter, into a new paradigm. Scorpio's deep water. In some ways, I like that analogy of Alex Collier's because Scorpio is fixed water. It's running in one direction. In the alchemical sense, it rules plumbing. It rules not just the sexual organs, but it rules sewage, and it's releasing. And even if we have a new moon here right now, which will play out for a good week or so, it's about starting new projects, but from a very different base point. And we've really sort of got rid of a lot of the toxic stuff. That's what we're really trying to do. And with Uranus opposite, you see, this is what I want to focus on just this week. With Uranus opposite in Taurus, Uranus is in Taurus, and it's opposite Scorpio, the Sun, the Moon, and Mars. We're looking at major new things coming down the pipeline. I think I was told November 19th there's a new compliance coming in for all banks. And if they're not compliant by that date, and I think it's to do with the ISO compliance, they are not going to make the new paradigm. They're not going to be part of the new quantum financial system. Now, who knows whether this is true? I certainly don't. But there is a lot of more information coming out towards the opening of this new paradigm. So this new moon in Scorpio is really making us think, because it's opposite Uranus and Taurus. It's those old treasury bonds that we all used to hold so dear, didn't we? They are not worth really the ink that they're written on. It's same with the fiat dollar. The fiat currency is on the way out. So you notice with this whole Uranus in Taurus opposite Scorpio, it's the financial axis. It's the big banks. It's the Federal Reserve. Trillions of dollars of unrealized losses are being realized now. What's coming out? Scorpio pulls from the depths. It's coming out. The sham of the banking system is really being seen for the first time by many more people. Of course, many of you guys have been awake for quite some time. But this system of perpetual debt, this corrupt system, Scorpio corruption, is being witnessed, but simultaneously is being alchemized. Okay? So I think also we're going to see with Uranus and Taurus, and don't forget Uranus and Taurus is going to play out for quite a couple more years, but because when it gets hit closely with the opposition of the Sun and the Moon and Mars, then things are going to be triggered. There's going to be a sort of a focal point. You're sort of put into a squeeze here. I heard from a number of sources that Iraq is going to float its currency internationally. It'd be interesting to see what the Iraqi dinar is going to be worth. I suspect it's going to go up in huge value as a lot of these countries decouple from the fiat currency of the Federal Reserve, and they have a lot of resources like Iraq. So I think those currencies are going to start to increase in value. That is Uranus and Taurus. Unexpected events, black swan events, re-evaluation, Uranus and Taurus, re-evaluation of currency. I think the Vietnamese dong, the rial, the rupee, etc., all these ones are going to come probably into the foreground. And then, of course, what does that mean really on the big macro scale? Uranus and Taurus is that new quantum blockchain financial system, probably backed, Taurus, by gold and silver, by the precious metals. That's just my conjecture, and I'm sure many of you feel that is coming down the pipeline. We just have to wait and see. So a reevaluation is really on the cards. Now, Uranus is one of the archetypes of the storm, isn't it? I think Pluto, you can get to storms through Pluto because it's a psychological change. But really, Uranus, the sky god, is that archetype of the storm. And this is what, Uranus and Taurus is taking down the deep state in some ways. And of course, with Jupiter going conjunct in April, May next year, that's going to be a biggie. You're not going to hear me shut up about that. April, May next year, it's going to be non-stop takedown of the DS. So the financial system really now on in is going to be seen to be, for Tom, Dick and Harry down at the pub, really, really corrupted and outed. And I think that's really the main thing of today's Freedom Report is we are going to start seeing the financial system really get unstuck and come undone. I mean, it's been happening for quite a few years, as many of you know, but for the average person, they're really going to start not only to feel it, but to see, we're seeing about banks going under and stuff like that. But here's the thing with Uranus and Taurus. On our side, on the light side, on the creative side, it's about don't losing sight of your creativity. Stay in your creative bliss. Stay in that frequency of innovation. And don't let the media distract you. The negative of Uranus and Taurus is putting out absolute nonsense of the future, a future false timeline. Okay, stay on purpose. And the mainstream media exists and solely exists just to generate fear and confusion. So, on the positive side, Uranus and Taurus is learning about new civilizations. It's about Tartaria. Yes, it's about relearning about Atlantis and Lemuria, the Sumerians. I listened with keen interest to Alex Collier's latest talk on he mentioned that the kings of Sumeria, they have a list of history, and their list of kingships goes back 450,000 years. Now, this is apparently admitted by some of the academics, but it's never discussed because it totally alters our concept of the timeline of who we are in our civilization. And of course, it totally smashes the Darwinian principle, which all of us know is absolute nonsense. So with Uranus and Taurus, where is Tartaria? Where is Lemuria? Where is Atlantis? We're going to start to really uncover this stuff. And again, I stay as the kid here, the sun card, the student, the perennial student, always trying to peel that magical artichoke to get to the heart. And, we're unpacking a big puzzle, aren't we? And that's what's exciting. We all bring a piece of the puzzle together. I was learning about the Piri-Reis map the other day, and that Portuguese admiral, who was named after him. But this map created in the 1500s. Some of that information comes from Alexander the Great. Some of that information comes actually from the Library of Alexandria. Antarctica on this map is shown with a green coastline. Wow. I mean, what have we been told? Uranus and Taurus, land, Taurus, Uranus. There's going to be some major white black swan event coming down the pipeline very quickly, of total change of our understanding of history. Now, of course, this is happening in a periodic fashion, drip, drip, drip. But I think there are going to be some seismic shocks. Uranus rules seismic energy. It rules, earthquakes, sudden events. So, our culture is much, much older. Uranus and Taurus is also the discovery of Taurus land, not just extraterrestrial, but what about intraterrestrial? In other words, what about the ant people? What about the people or the personages that exist subterranean? I'm told military missions and Space Force have made contact with some of these. Interesting. Michael Sulla talks a lot about that in some of his work. So, yes, Uranus and Taurus is med beds. Yes, it's all a lot of new technologies coming down, but it's so much more. And I want to talk much more about that in the coming weeks and months. But that's what I'm going to leave with you today, and hopefully I shall share a few bonuses with you over the coming week. I'm now back in New York in my little healing temple, and I've got a couple of lovely people coming over for some healing this evening with sound and my gongs. So the thought of the day today, I'm just going to totally riff on this, would be stay in your creative bliss. Observe what's happening out there, but at the end of the day, you do you. Stay in your creative magic like children do. Stay in your joy and share that with the world, and all will be beautiful and well. God bless.